Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. I hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far, and what a weekend of Call of Duty that we have just had. The Stage 4 Major is in the books. FaZe are the champions yet again, but many very interesting storylines to talk about today with regard to the OpTic Chicago guys, but also what they happened to say a few months ago with regard to onliners, and Dallas Empire certainly firing a few shots back on the timeline last night. Intrigued to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. Like if you guys enjoyed the video, subscribe if you were new as always, I greatly appreciate it. It really helps out the channel. Thank you very much indeed for doing that. Crimsix out in force here on the main stage last night. He'll of course be back in force with the rest of the team for the Stage 5 Major when that returns to LAN. These are the final placements, and certainly interesting the fact that pretty much this is what you would expect if it was, you know, to be run online, to be honest. Empire of course looked so much better on LAN, OpTic in a pretty similar spot. Of course the only real two outliners, you could argue outliers, are, well, the subliners, and then Los Angeles Thieves. But both of those teams had difficult times with the Simp not being able to get there for New York, and Thieves of course had the whole Huke situation, couldn't play as we did indeed talk about. So some teams that look somewhat better on LAN, but all things considered, pretty much what you might expect going into the weekend. This is what Crim says as a result of that final series. GG's FaZe lost 6-5, pushing the limit on my fat self after playing with pure passion for 7 hours straight. You gotta say fair play right to Empire, the fact that, I mean, you know, they had such a tough series up against OpTic. They won that 3-1 there to reverse sweep Toronto, go game 9 with FaZe. Like, it's gonna take it out of you eventually. Proud of the performance with the boys after teaming for only 1 month. Had some insane series. Hope you all enjoyed it watching the first COD LAN back. Scump says very typical performance in the replies. Nice to see these guys interacting, and we'll talk about that in a little bit more detail in a couple of minutes right here. This other was kind of funny as Crimsix as well. Well, let's just say Crimsix answering Cellium's question at the start of this one. Congrats to the other guys. The battle for Middle-earth rages on, says Crim, most certainly. Shout out to Cellium. He got officially the player of the stage. There was a lot of players that could have been up for grabs here, and the scary thing about FaZe is that all 4 of their players could be in like MVP contention for the entire season, which is, I mean, you look at like the standings of the best players in the game, like obviously Simp and aBeZy, I would probably say number 1, number 2. Number 3 may well be Cellium, and number 4 may be Arcitys, or you can probably put those players in a number of different orders, but it's pretty crazy to think about the fact that these guys are just so good, and that they honestly really struggled to get over the line yesterday because Dallas were playing so well, but FaZe are just so hard to put away. The overall stage KDs are just ridiculous here. Like Cellium has a 1.18 over the whole stage, like that's all their matches plus the major. Pretty remarkable to see, most certainly. And this of course was what Crimsix said last night, so certainly a lot of trash talk going down between the two guys. FormaL versus Crimsix was discussion for quite a while. I was looking forward to seeing it on LAN. Crimsix gets the better of him. We looked at this tweet last night, but well, this also came out from FormaL. He said Crim's kind of final. Of course doesn't quite end up winning it, but Crimsix was playing great. And it was interesting to see FormaL say this, right, because, you know, seems to be giving a bit more respect to maybe Crimsix that he was giving a couple of weeks ago. And you've got to think that what FormaL said about Crimsix, the fact that, you know, if there was one player he would have preferred to drop in his entire career, it would have been Crim back in Black Ops 3, lit some sort of fire under Crim to prove FormaL wrong at the major, right? And well, did so in great style. So, yeah, we'll have to see whether it kind of does the same thing for FormaL now, right? The trash talk goes the other way. Can FormaL, like, internalize that and light a fire in the same way that clearly Crim did by this whole situation, wanting to beat FormaL really badly? Certainly seemed to help the Dallas Empire get to another gear at this major right here. But, well, this was really the big one I wanted to discuss today before we go on to talk about the Scump stuff, because back in February, as well, FormaL says right here, you really had this bookmarked. So iLLeY had a phenomenal weekend. I don't think there's any doubt about that. He, very interestingly, we'll have a look at his LAN placements actually so far in his career, and they're really impressive. It's kind of funny the fact that iLLeY online has been very questionable, right? We look at some of his statistics from the entire season, it's not pretty at all, but he comes to this major, puts on a great showing, has some great moments, to be honest, couple of moments that didn't necessarily go his way, but still much improved, I think, and really was a crucial piece, right? We talked about this with the Dallas team. Shotzzy and Vivid are going to be solid players, no doubt about it, with takeover potential. You need Crim and iLLeY to be putting up solid numbers if you want to have any chance to compete with FaZe, and that's what they did this weekend. So very, very well played. But as iLLeY says, right, you know, laughing and rolling on the floor, laughing all this good stuff to FormaL, because this tweet back in February, I'm pretty sure was targeted at Dallas at the time. Kids are so much better online, and iLLeY's looking at it and saying, yeah, that's not the case at all. We've beaten you 6-1 in map count at this event, and yeah, firing back a little bit of trash talk the other way. And of course, we love to see this stuff in the Call of Duty community. But interesting, right? Because iLLeY has been one of these players that people have talked about being an onliner. But you look at some of his LAN results. Of course, they only played 2 LANs last season, London, then at LA. But his 2 results on LAN are 2nd place at London and 1st at LA. And then, of course, went on to win the World Championship online. And now the first event back on LAN, he's come in 2nd place again, despite a pretty, you know, up and down season for iLLeY. So credit where it's due, really firing back a little few shots on the timeline. I do wonder if this will have some impact on the OpTic guys. Now, you know, they have to take some of the trash talk. It's going to be on them to light a fire under them to try and get something done for Stage 5. But clearly some room for improvement from the OpTic guys. As FormaL says, I blame Roger, that being, one of the video guys, for setting us up every single content day, just asking for bad karma. Thank you very much, Rog. You know what, this is what Scump has to say back to Crimsix here. Very typical performance. Nice to see these guys interacting, as I said earlier, but Scump comes out with this tweet, which it's a really interesting tweet, to be honest, which we'll dive into in quite some detail right here. So he says, sad. I've been sad for months and months. I want to win so badly. I gave up personal content to try and improve just to get the same result. Damned if you do, damned if you don't. Really just lost at the moment. I never talk about mental health, but damn, it has been rough recently. This is tough to see from Scump, right? So you can tell how much he wants to win. Like, when they actually win, the hype that he still shows on the stage is very impressive, and when, he seems really defeated when they lose, understandably so, because this guy, like, he's carried the scene on his back for years at this point. If he wanted to, he could just retire. He could have retired last season, the season before that, whatever, and gone and streamed for like 10,000, 15,000 viewers, no problem at all, and made a crazy amount of money doing content. But instead, he decides to, go in this league and really fight an uphill battle against him. I mean, I can't imagine what it's like to be Scump and lose a series, and I have to look at your, you look at the replies to your tweets, like, it must just be brutal a lot of the time. And, like, Scump just takes that on his chin, right? So he's obviously been a phenomenal force in Call of Duty history, and interesting to see these tweets, right? We see similar tweets coming out from Clayster a couple of days ago, like this one every year. It's hurdle after hurdle after hurdle after hurdle. I just don't know how much more I got left in me. 2 months until this season's over, and we will see. We will see indeed, says Clayster. Now, of course, these two tweets from Scump and Clayster, they're coming out after losses. It tends to be like this, right? Players get in their own heads and stuff, and they'll regain over the coming days, I would imagine. But still, you have to wonder whether these players are considering retirement at some point or another in the future. Clayster's certainly saying we'll see what happens at the end of the season. Scump might be in a similar boat. I'm sure he really wants to win once again, but it's just so tough right now that the league is incredibly competitive. OpTic aren't quite in a position, I think, to compete right at the highest level, and win best of 9s against FaZe is probably not something which is in OpTic's ballpark at the present time, even if they can beat some of these series and get all the way to the grand final, which they would have had a reasonable chance of doing if they'd have managed to take down Dallas this weekend. But tough to see from Scump. I guess the personal content side is quite interesting because they've stopped streaming, of course. Scump stopped doing YouTube videos and stuff and focusing fully on being a competitor and trying to be the best, which is, as I say, not something Scump has to do by any means. He has so many other possible sources of revenue. So you've got to say fair play to Scump for going down this route and trying to be the best competitor he can be. And he's played great as of late, I think. And despite him playing really good Call of Duty, the team can't get over the line. And there's so many occasions, we'll probably talk about OpTic and exactly where they're falling short in the coming days. But so many times where, maybe the strategy isn't quite there, the teamwork, the cohesion still isn't fully together. And it's something which is going to cost you on land, right? And it certainly did this weekend, even though they do get a relatively solid top 4 placing. This is what Clay says in reply. Love you, brother. Respect for bringing it up on your platform. I'm hella close anytime you want to shoot stuff with me. Who knows what you're feeling, as we say, Clayster, going in a pretty similar situation. Tired of being a meme and a punching bag for people. I've been trying to disconnect from social media as much as possible, and it still haunts me. Hours and hours of work to get clowned sucks the life out of me. Totally understandably so. This is the thing where if you're Scump, you just got to mute all your mentions. I imagine even more high profile celebrities as well have such a crazy time of things. But that's the thing with being an esports professional, I guess. Like, it's so open, it's so there's such a tight relationship between the community and the pro players that this type of stuff can get to pros. I can certainly understand it does, as Clayster is talking about right here as well. So hopefully this doesn't lead to anything, right? Hopefully Scump continues on playing for another couple of years. I think he certainly has another couple of years at top level Call of Duty play left in the locker. But at the same time, like, Scump could very easily just retire and go down that route as well. But something I'm sure as a Call of Duty community we certainly hope does not happen. And well, maybe Scump can bounce back, right? But I think he's been playing great COD. I just think the league is so competitive right now, and OpTic definitely have some strides to take if they want to get back to the point where they can win championships, which of course is what Scump is trying to do, right? I mean, the last time that OpTic the last time they won a championship, of course, was last year in Modern Warfare. They won a couple, but the last time he won a championship on OpTic was way back in 2018 December on the CWL Las Vegas at the time. As Courage says, like, I've made huge links to my mentor recently. You've always put competition first, and I respect your work ethic greatly. Nobody appreciates the work, only the result, says Scump. Double-edged sword of competition, I guess, and maybe having second thoughts about competing in the long term. But of course, he's done it all. He's achieved everything in Call of Duty and have done so much for so many years. But maybe walking away now would feel somewhat regretful if he could go on and still win championships in future seasons. But as I say, it's just so far from easy at the present time. On the more positive side for OpTic, I thought this was pretty remarkable that comes out from Crone last night, or it was mentioned a couple of times on Twitter. But John Rahm, who just won the US Open, was talking in this clip right here about how he was watching OpTic Chicago in the morning before their game. Went pretty crazy. He was like, yeah, to warm up for, to kind of relax before I went on and it won $2.25 million. Was saying, he was watching the OpTic Chicago, the stage 4 major, which is really cool to see how, you know, I suppose this has proliferated really through the scene. So cool for the OpTic guys, most certainly. And Scump's probably a big part of that, right? And of course, we see the tweets coming out from Scump, unfortunately, over these last few hours or so. This also very interesting. So I wanted to talk about exactly what's coming up next. Of course, there's another major just around the horizon. I believe it's just a few days' time where the stage 5 officially kicks off. And we have a few days now for teams to make roster changes if they want to. I'm pretty sure it's going to lock on about the 1st of July. So teams have a week or so if they want to make more changes. I doubt most teams will decide to go down that route. Some teams may well substitute in some players. That might be something that happens. But probably not too many changes between that. But who knows, right? We've still got a few days for it to happen. And if teams really want to actually try and compete to win the World Championship, they might consider some options. This, however, that Chrome says, Overwatch League is allowing fans to attend next month at the same place today's Major 4 was played at Arlington in Texas. So this is cool to see. It seems like Overwatch are going down the route of getting fans back next month. That may well mean that for the stage 5 major, wherever that's going to be hosted, not sure if it's going to be at the same place because Dallas technically hosted this one. So I'm not sure exactly who's hosting the next one, but I suppose we will see. But so I think maybe it might be the OpTic guys actually. I'm not sure if Hex mentioned that on a podcast because those guys, of course, Dallas and OpTic didn't, or it was Huntsman at the time, but they didn't get to host a LAN event last season because it all got cancelled. So they may well give these 2 LAN events to them. Whether we can actually get fans back in a similar capacity, that's something we'd be very excited for. Of course, it was a great weekend. The fans were really the only thing that was missing. And the World Championships, I'm pretty certain we'll find a way to get that done as well. And well, this is what it looks like for the rest of the stage. So, Stage 5 starts July the 1st, Major 5 July the 22nd. And after that does conclude, then a couple of weeks off and then the World Championship. I'm pretty sure it got leaked earlier this season. It's like the 10th of August, something like that. So a little bit earlier than last season, which probably means an even longer off season, but it is what it is at this point. No official date as of yet, but very much intrigued to hear your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, I'd greatly appreciate a like on the video. It really helps out the YouTube algorithm. I know you enjoyed this content. Other people like you may enjoy this content as well, and help grow the competitive Call of Duty community. Thank you for watching as always. Take care, and I will see you next time.